Welcome back. We're still with Sharon Osbourne and Katie Nicholl, and joining us is the former Royal Marine Ben McBean, who served in Afghanistan at the same time as Harry, and Conservative MP and Chair of the Defence Select Committee, Tobias Ellwood. And they're going to be talking primarily about Harry's boast that he killed 25 Taliban and called them chess pieces.
Prince Harry. Boy, has he been through a lot. We all feel bad for him. But seriously, enough is enough. The royal family isn't a reality show. They're not characters in a soap opera. But it sure feels like it, right? Every week, a new headline. Another big surprise. Harry needs to stop. He's airing the family's dirty laundry for everyone to see. It's hurting everyone, not just him. It's hurting the whole royal family. The Queen would not have liked this. It's disrespectful to her. I get Harry's pain. He lost his mum. He felt trapped by royal life. But these public outbursts, they're not the way to handle things. The royal family is a big deal. They represent something important. Harry's actions are hurting that. He needs to think about the big picture.
Something which has not only enraged many of his former colleagues in the armed forces, but has also enraged pretty much the entire Muslim world. And who knows what repercussions may come from that stupid boast. It will still come tonight. Harry's truth has come a long way. And we'll be talking that in a moment. Sharon, let me just pick up with you, because you were directly involved in all this. This goes back to the Oprah Winfrey interview. And it's absolutely crystal clear in that interview what Meghan Markle was saying, supported by Harry, that someone in the royal family had expressed concern about the unborn baby's skin colour. And when probed by Oprah, if the skin colour was too dark, that would be a problem, Meghan Markle said, you may well deduce that, yes, right? That became the biggest story of all these revelations, is that the family is racist.
Yes.
Now we're supposed to believe that's never what they intended. Harry says that, Trisha Goddard says it. There's now a kind of whole revisionist thing going on. But this had real consequences. I didn't believe it at the time, and I had to leave my job for disbelieving what was being said. You then had to leave your job.
Because I was supporting you.
Because you supported my right to free speech and didn't agree with me.
Yeah.
Right? You had to go, what do you feel about this?
It's all just craziness going around and around, and he's turned his life and the royal family's life into a soap opera. It's like a really bad, distasteful
I mean, it's always been a soap
opera.
I think what's different is it's always been speculative soap opera, right? You know, part of the thing of the papers, he goes on and on and on in all these interviews and the book. I had to go through all this. The press are just evil, the devil, he calls them, all this kind of stuff. And yet the press, without the press, there wouldn't be a royal family.
No.
Without the press doing predominant, I mean, I remember the coverage of his wedding. Couldn't have been more universally praiseworthy.
It was
right?
beautiful.
He could barely bring himself to even acknowledge that. Right? This guy is so blindly hateful of the media, and British press in particular, even though he gets exactly the same coverage in many parts of the world. But when you haven't read the whole thing, I know, but I have. I've never read anyone high profile talk about their family like this. All of them.
Oh,
His dad,
I know.
His stepmom, his brother, his sister-in-law, the Queen's dresser, cops it.
Yeah.
And there's a really bad bit in here, which I really disliked, which is very revealing about his character, where he trashes the matron at Lovegrove Prep School, who he names as Pat. He calls her greasy and ugly, didn't make the boys horny, right? And says that, just carries on disparaging her. She had a disability with her spine, which made her...
she had to walk
And
down
he
the
used
stairs
to mock
backwards.
her, mock the way she couldn't walk properly. And he boasts about this. This is a guy who, on his website for Archewell, their foundation, describes as standing for compassion. Where's the compassion in any of this?
I think,
Katie?
well, listen, I'm just hearing you picking up that story. And, I was reporting on Harry when he was falling in and out of nightclubs, getting into brawls with paparazzi. I mean, I remember speaking to the mother of one girl who he was dating who said he really just was impolite, he was rude, he turned up drunk, with sick on him. They didn't want him around their girl, okay? And that was understandable. This is clearly a man who feels that he's gone through a metamorphosis, a massive reinvention, and has come out on the other side. But what was so interesting, I felt, about watching the interview with Tom Bradby, and I think Bradby did a very robust, very good job with him, was when...
He didn't mention the Taliban.
No,
so
but
I was
he,
very
but he brought
surprised
up the
about
racist allegations as he rightly did. But it was very clear that when Harry was almost steered off into a zone where he wasn't comfortable, where he couldn't channel his therapy speak and everything else, he looked very uncomfortable. And I want to make just one quick point on these racism allegations. I think this is very important. When this turned into the biggest race row that this country's been in as long as I can remember...
Well, the biggest the royals have ever been.
And the most troubling storm for the royal family, Harry and Meghan came out and made it clear in a subsequent statement that they were not talking about the Queen or Prince Philip because, of course, this witch hunt ensued. That would have been an ample opportunity to have said, and by the way, this wasn't an allegation or a charge of racism, it was one of unconscious bias. Done.
I think what's happened is he realised too late, because there's a report that he tried to get the book withdrawn, that actually this was all going too far. I mean, the fact he hasn't mentioned that in here, the single most explosive revelation isn't in the book, nor is this supposed thing with the palace denying Meghan help for her suicidal thoughts.
Oh,
to make two very, very major omissions.
Well, they were the two biggest. They were the two biggest bombshells. Neither are in his book of his life. Let me bring in Ben. You fantastic service to your country as a Royal Marine, and you were severely wounded in the process. Thank you, first of all, for your amazing service.
No worries.
And it's great to see you. You know Harry. You know you fought alongside him in Afghanistan. What do you make of this?
Yeah,
And in particular, the boasting about killing 25 Taliban.
Yeah, well, I wasn't with Harry in Afghanistan. I was in a whole different area.
But you were out there.
Yeah,
you were
same
outside.
time. The 25 body count thing, it was obviously him in context telling the story, and he mentioned the number. But I think he could have told the story very easily without mentioning that number. I don't think it was boasting. But at the same time...
If you say it and give a number to it, aren't you just boasting?
No,
I mean, whichever way you try and describe it.
He's just literally saying what he's done, which was his job, and thank God, because that was why we were able to get out of there, kind of thing, because we called them in and they helped us out. But I don't think mentioning that number was wise.
Would you ever do that?
No, I mean, the difference is if I killed 10,000 men, no one cares, but if he killed one, everyone cares. So it's not wise for him to mention it. It's a bit like poking a bear as you walk past. Like, there's no point in... That's not going to do any favours. So I don't think he's boasting it, but I think he could have easily said what he said without mentioning that number, which was 10 years old, let's say.
And on the specific racism thing, was your understanding, just as a member of the public, when you watched... Did you watch the Oprah interview?
Not a lot of it.
But
no.
you saw the clips. And
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
Was your impression that they were saying that someone had been racist about the skin colour of their child?
I'll be honest, it did come across that way a bit. And then obviously when the media jumped in it, I did think, oh, I wonder who was racist, like, because it did kind of come across that way.
I feel bad for Harry. He's a lost puppy dog searching for something. I just wish he'd stop looking for it in front of everyone. Meghan, well, that's a different story. She knew what she was signing up for. She wanted the fairy tale, but fairy tales have a price, and she didn't want to pay it. Look, I don't hate Meghan, but I don't agree with what she's doing. She's turned Harry against his family. She's made things worse between them. It's sad, really. Harry deserves better. He deserves someone who gets how important the crown is, someone who respects the rules. Meghan, I'm sorry to say, is not that person. Okay, let's talk about Prince Louis. He's adorable. Did you see him at the Jubilee? What a little character. He's got the spirit, the charm. Louis is everything his Uncle Harry is not. He's happy being himself. He likes being a royal. He respects the monarchy. It gives me hope. Hope that the future of the royal family is safe. Hope that the Queen's legacy will continue. We need more Louis in the world. More people who understand duty, respect and tradition.
The thing is, just in my opinion, it's almost like, you go to like a comedy show and the comedian says a joke that you don't like and you're offended by it. You can say that you're offended, but the comedian doesn't have to care. So you just kind of get mad, kind of thing. It seems like that's like with his family, like he's obviously not happy with certain things and he might have said it to them and they don't have to care, they don't have to respond or apologise because his feelings get hurt. So then he's kind of moved away, supposed to be happy in America, but he's not clearly.
He's not happy, is he?
No, so then he's kind of attacking his family by revealing everything. Waiting for like an apology, but you're not going to get one.
I just think everyone defending him, I just think if it was their family and someone was going on television because they had some kind of profile and was just doing this endlessly, trashing the family, all of them, I mean, it would, you would. I think most people would cut that person off.
I still think Harry's great. I think a lot of troops do. You can't take away what he's done for this country more than
No,
most.
you can't.
But yes, he's fell out with his family, but we don't need to now see all of this because it's your family at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I just think, even though I love Harry, he's a great guy, from what I know and what I've seen, I don't have to support every move that he makes, including this one, because it's not very nice.
I think that's very honest, and I think you're quite right. I don't denigrate his service. You know, my brother-in-law trained him at Sandhurst. He was a colonel in charge of William and Harry. Their training there. So they were both very good young soldiers. I've got nothing. I've never denigrated that at all. Let's bring in Tobias Elwood, the Conservative MP and chair of the Defence Select Committee. Tobias, you've actually worked with Harry on the Invictus Games, which again is an incredibly admirable thing, the Invictus Games, and I've always completely supported it. But when he said this stuff about the Taliban, you can see from the reaction already around the Muslim world, the way it's been now latched onto by a lot of Islamic fundamentalists and preachers and so on. This is going to potentially cause huge security problems, not least, I would think, at an event like the Invictus Games.
Yeah, I think you're right. Firstly, I just wanted to stress the important relationship there is between our monarchy. It goes back millennia, in fact. We saw that at the funeral for the Queen, and indeed we'll see that in the coronation, for the King coming up. That's a powerful bond between all of our armed forces, the three services. And I pay tribute to anybody, your brother and so forth, Ben, who's there in the studio with you, anybody that steps forward to represent their country and wear the uniform. That includes Prince Harry. He did 2 tours of Afghanistan. And you're right, this huge legacy, the big thing that he created, the Invictus Games, has been quite incredible. But I think he was ill-advised to talk about a kill count. We argue that we have the most professional armed forces in the world. That's absolutely right. That's not just because of our combat effectiveness. It's also how we conduct ourselves in the aftermath of battle, following the Geneva Conventions, following the rules of engagements, how we deal with the prisoners of war, how we deal with the injured who were actually served in Camp Bastion as well, in the hospital there, next to the British comrades, and indeed how we deal with the dead as well. We don't go and join the armed forces to kill people. We go there to defend. We go there to uphold, democracy and the rule of law. A byproduct of that is the occasional necessity use of lethal force. So, for the reasons as you've pointed out, I think this has caused difficulties, not least where we've left Afghanistan. We've ceded this back to the very people we went into to defeat, the Taliban themselves. We have 40 million Afghans that we still need to have a relationship with. We've got the Halo Trust, for example, a fantastic charity that's doing mine clearance there. All these organisations still have to work, have a relationship with the Taliban. My worry is that extremists will take...
I would say that what he's said here and the way he's expressed himself, calling them chess pieces, saying he killed 25 and so on, as a senior member of the royal family, which he remains, I think that has... I mean, the irony of this, he has gone on about security and protection for his family, never mind anybody else, for the last 2 years, arguing he should have more protection. How does this kind of statement in a book do anything but put his own family at more risk? It also puts the royal family in totality, I would say, at more risk from any lunatic fundamentalist who wants to exact some kind of revenge for what he's said. The Invictus Games and events like it might become targets. His own military, he might still have friends in the military. They are now walking around with a bigger target on their back because a senior member of the royal family has come out boasting about killing the Taliban and how many he killed and dehumanised them as chess pieces.
Yeah. I think it would be wise for Prince Harry to provide clarification as to what he meant there. If you read the wider passage, it's the only bit of the book that I've read. He clearly understands what his mission was, the bigger picture as well, what he was fighting for. But those particular lines, I understand it was written, the book, by a ghostwriter. It was put in there to sensationalise. And as you've articulated, this can have serious ramifications, not least for the Invictus Games, which I stress. It was a pleasure to work with Prince Harry in Toronto and indeed in Sydney, an important aspect of rehabilitation of those who have served, are serving, but have been injured or somehow need to be rehabilitated. I hope that continues. I hope this will not affect that important creation that Prince Harry can be very proud of.
Tobias Edward, thank you very much. Sharon, before we go to the break, there's a coronation coming up in May. A coronation where King Charles will be coronated. Harry said he was a terrible father, couldn't handle being a single-parent father at all. Constant sniping at him in the book. He absolutely trashes Camilla as a dangerous villain. She's getting crowned as well as the Queen Consort. She's a stepmother. And he won't give a clear, no, I'm not going to go. And the palace haven't said he won't be invited. I can't imagine in what world these two, Meghan and Harry, think they're going to waltz in to the Westminster Abbey, is it?
Well, there is
to
an
watch a
invitation.
coronation of two people that just trashed in a book.
There will be an invitation, I'm quite sure, to the coronation, because actually, in this situation, Charles has to be magnanimous. In last night's interview, Harry spoke about the need for the royal family to be unified. And Charles knows that. This rift at the heart of the House of Windsor is hugely damaging.
But I wouldn't trust them not to then do another book, another series.
But you know what? I think, honestly, if he comes to this country in the next few months, I think he'll be booed.
He was booed last time.
Well, he was. I mean, a little bit he was. It wasn't bad.
Even by Harry's brass neck standards, walking into the scene of the coronation of two people, one in particular, your father's wife, the Queen Consort, who's about to be crowned.
Wicked woman.
I mean, to me, it's unconscionable. You'd have the brass neck to do it.
I think it's possible that they can go and it can be orchestrated in such a way, as was the Platinum Jubilee celebrations, where they were
far
there
away from his brother.
I don't think they should be anywhere near it. I don't think they should be allowed to have their royal titles anymore. Bang, done. You want to do this? You want to do this, Harry? You don't get to keep the dukedom. That goes. Everything goes. Anyway, more importantly, Ben, thank you. Great to see you.
Pleasure.
Appreciate your service to your country. Proper hero, this man. Good to have you on the show. Thank you.
Really good to meet you.
Well, still to
Harry's interviews have been wild. He's told everyone everything. From his mental health struggles to his family problems, it's been a lot to take in. He's shown us a darker side to the fairy tale, a side we don't usually see. And I think that's why so many people are interested. But at what cost? The royal family needs mystery. It needs tradition. Harry's stories have broken that. He's shown the cracks in the foundation, cracks that might never be fixed. And that, I'm afraid, is the real problem.